My old life. Hi there. Welcome to My Other's Keeper. I have the privilege of having Mr. Blessed2Crochet, Josh, here. I'm so excited. And Mary is here as well for support. So yeah, this is going to be there. You see below the trigger warning down there. This is going to be an incredibly sensitive topic. It will likely be difficult for Josh to get things out. We will just simply allow him to talk and say what he needs to say. Um, he has lived a very difficult life because of the hand he was dealt, not because of choices that he had made. So this is something that's going to be a challenge. So I just want to say hi to Todd. And Todd had to put his dog down today. So that is super, super sad. So thank you, Todd, for showing up. That is heroic right there. Miss Dragon, hi. Nice to see you. Crystal's here. And that's everybody at the moment.
So far.
So far. Yep. Just everything ready to begin.
Girl.
Oh, Brazy Girl. Excellent. Hi there. Okay. I tend to go a little fast, so yeah. So today, what did you do this afternoon, Mary?
Oh, I slept because I had to wake up early to take Christina for her first cavity fill at the dentist, and she wanted her mama.
Christina, grown-up lady, first cavity. I'm not jealous at all. Oh my goodness! Wow, yeah.
Well, she has several to fill, but we took Mocha with us so she could love on Mocha before and after. But I mean, the dentist office could not have been nicer. And I only wish that I found dentist office that were as willing to work with an autistic individual or adult or children as this place was. They were just awesome from start to finish. They couldn't have been better.
Yeah. So Matrix, I am seeing. I'm trying to remember if you are. Nope. Matrix, are you able to do the 24th? Did I already have you in on the 24th? Yes, Matrix has had a really, really difficult life as well. So many of us have difficult lives, not because of choices that we've made, but because of hands that we've been dealt. Fortunately, we don't have to suffer in silence, which is exactly what Josh is doing today. He is not suffering in silence. He's tearing away the shame, the mask. He's tearing down the walls of the word I'm looking for has escaped me. What would you call it, Mary? Stigma. Yep, that's a very good word.
There's a stigma.
There's a huge stigma.
I think people need to realize when the diagnosis came through, and we're going to show two things, because the original thing is what they thought he had. And this other was what kind of was after me pushing to say, if it's not this, you guys got to figure out what it is. When the doctor said before he got this other test, if it comes back, you will be my first patient I have seen in all my 30 years of practice. If that does not tell you how rare it is extremely rare. And oftentimes babies that are born with this do not make it through pregnancy. So the fact that he's here, and once you hear this story, and I've really encouraged my husband, and I love him dearly, to come on to Kim and tell his story, you're going to see the hands of God on his head, because there is no reason for him to be here, but God has him here for a very special reason. So I'm so proud of him.
And the fact that he is willing to do this, the fact that he is strong enough to do this as a human being, his own heart, his own mind, his own character is at a healed level, I think, in large part because of his marriage to Mary. They have blessed each other so much. And so Josh, this will not be his last time here on the channel. Having him back a few times because he's got a lot to say. And I definitely want
When
to hear it.
I have a lot to say. For some reason,
All right. Hi, Jason.
After
Nice
being
to
married
see
to
you.
after being married to me, he's learned how to talk.
Yeah, my husband did the same thing. All right. So let's get started. You'll notice that trigger warning is running down along the bottom. And that's because the syndromes that we are talking about, we're not going to talk just about one, we're going to talk about two. The syndromes we are talking about deal with parts of the anatomy that are not frequently talked about in polite company. They deal with reproductive organs, they deal with physiology, they deal with what some people, not me, but some people would say, what makes a man a man. And we're going to find out how wrong that is. So, without further ado, Josh, please introduce yourself.
hi. Go figure. I get put on live and I stop talking for whatever reason.
That's okay.
You can do this.
I am an old. No, yeah, easy for me to say all of this. I just can't talk all of this. Ah,
That's okay.
You can do this.
Yeah.
nobody's gonna hurt me. Come on,
No.
Josh. Now,
You know.
I am what I prefer to call a unicorn. Not the. It's so fluffy. It's a unicorn that everybody thinks of when you see a unicorn. The bright white and rainbow hair. I'm not that kind of unicorn. I am the leader of the pack unicorn. I'm black. Just I'm I want to blend into the background. I call myself a unicorn because back in the 70s when I was born, my mother had the pregnancy of me, and not realizing it at the time because she didn't go to see the correct doctors while being pregnant with me because she was still in school. She she without going to see the OBGYN or whatever, she brought me into this world not knowing that I was diagnosed with I would eventually be diagnosed with Klinefelter syndrome. I'm sorry, I'm not a public speaker, so if I start crying, y'all have to understand. This is not something that I really do.
You are doing fabulous. And Josh, everybody
Beautiful.
who's watching right now is 100% pulling for you. Okay? Nobody is going to judge you. Nobody's going to say bad things. And if they do, I have Crystal here, and she will boot them in the teeth. We have Mary here, who will boot them elsewhere.
Yeah.
And,
Oh yes.
yeah, exactly. So you are totally protected. And Mama Mary Lynn is here. Lots of people are here for you, Josh.
I'm not really worried about what somebody else is going to do or say to me.
Oh, good.
Talk him up to a keyboard warrior doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yep.
Words don't words hurt at a certain level, but it takes you a long time to get to that level. So go ahead, say the words. I don't care. They care because they don't want the hate spreading around, but I don't care. It's the actions that hurt.
Well, it's important to know. It's important to know that his mother didn't go for any prenatal care. So, throughout the pregnancy, there was no, any kind of vitamins or any kind of making sure he was on track or anything. None of that happened. because she was 16. Am I correct, Josh?
No, she was 18 when she had me, so she was 17 when she got pregnant.
Okay.
Well, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Her birthday's in September, so she was 17.
Around 17. Yeah. She was young.
That's very young.
Yes. And he was her smallest baby, I may add that.
Yeah. I'm now 6'2", 375 pounds, trying to lose the weight, and I am her biggest baby as of right now. But my sister was her biggest baby. It was also her. She's also her baby.
Okay.
So she was. My sister is taller than I am, or about as tall as I am. My brother is taller than.
No.
My
She's
brother.
not as tall as you, Josh.
Yeah, that's why I said she's not as tall as me. My brother is 2 inches taller than me, and he's a deputy. That's as far as I'm going with that.
All right.
My sister is 14 years young. No, she's 18 years younger than me.
Wow.
14 years younger.
There was quite a break between him and his brother and sister.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
They didn't want to have another me.
There's only one of
That
you,
could
that's
be.
for sure.
That's right. Like you said, you're a unicorn.
Yeah.
So hi, Janet. Nice to see you. And Miss Dragon did exactly what I was hoping would happen. She took the time when I posted what it is that we are going to be talking about today. She took the time to actually research it a little bit. So it's not going to be as scary or as mystifying, but that's exactly what we're here. We're here to take away the mystifying. We're here to make it not scary. We're here to understand.
But I mean,
well, I can.
With all the research that's out there, you got to remember you can't go into the Dr. Google health hole either.
Right.
I said health, not health.
Matrix.
Yes.
Because I've gone into the Dr. Google hole and I don't believe 100% what Dr. Google says.
No.
But with that said, there's a lot of information for something that not a lot of people have.
That's right.
Or know about.
Or know about, for that matter. There's
That's
a lot
exactly right.
without even knowing they have it, which is even crazier.
Well,
so I'm
when
going
you
to put
were
up
in
a picture.
high school, you diagnosed yourself to some degree.
Yeah. I was about 16, 17, 18, somewhere in that age, in health class, reading what Klinefelter's is, going, this sounds like me. I have a bigger belly. I have, in men it's called gynecomastia, where we have what I like to call otherwise as moobs. Men. It's the easiest way to explain it to people.
It's the same breast tissue that grows in a girl in her teens will sometimes grow in a man for a number of different reasons. Your disorder happens to be one of the reasons. But I have known people to just have it happen spontaneously.
Yeah. I can honestly say I absolutely feel for the women that have to have the doctor feel up their
Mm-hmm.
you, because I don't like it. I really don't like it.
Nope. I'm going to put up a picture of Josh when he was a baby. And look at that little face. I mean, look at that face. Oh,
Yeah.
what a cutie. What a cutie.
And he looks normal. He looks normal. There's nothing to say that, he looks, that there's something wrong. And his
That's
mom
right.
said he hit all the milestones. When we look at the kind of the disorder from baby onto adult, you'll see. And she said, I didn't see anything. He hit all his milestones.
So what he was initially diagnosed with, or what they initially thought it was Cushing syndrome. And this slide tells you just a quick overview of what Cushing syndrome is. Okay. So when the body has too much of the hormone cortisol for a long time, Cushing syndrome happens. This can result from the body making too much cortisol or from taking medicines called glucocorticosteroids. That there's a big word that starts with a G.
Don't worry.
Which affect the body in the same way as cortisol. Glucocorticoids. That's what it is. Glucocorticoids. Okay. Too much cortisol can cause some of the main symptoms of Cushing syndrome: a fatty hump between the shoulders, a rounded face, a pink or purple stretch marks on the skin. Cushing syndrome can also cause high blood pressure or bone loss. Sometimes it can cause type 2 diabetes. So I'm just going to give you this. Now, this picture is of a woman, and Josh does have diabetes. Okay. So this picture depicts a woman, but it's exactly the same in men, right?
Yes.
Weight in the trunk, thin arms and legs, weight in the face, sometimes moon face, a fatty lump between the shoulders. I have that. It's really annoying. And yes, I refer to it as a buffalo hump. Pink or purple stretch marks on the stomach, hips, and thighs. Thin, frail skin that bruises easily. Slow wound healing and acne. The thin, frail skin that bruises easily, that happens naturally once you get quite a bit older. But as a young person, like in your teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, that is completely
the only thing
it's unheard of.
Really say about the thin, frail skin that bruises. I have frail skin because I have a dog that likes to use my legs as a runway. But
we all know Mug.
Yes.
She just takes off on my legs, and she doesn't realize she's doing it until after the fact. After I ow, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. But
forgive me."
I heal really fast. I've always
good.
Really fast. Even the diabetic doctors are like, "Won't you pick this? I don't pick the scabs off. I don't want scars anymore. Scars when I was a teenager. I don't want scars anymore. I just let them fall off on their own."
That's right. So other symptoms that can be seen with men: low sex drive, reduced fertility, problems getting an erection. Then there's other possible symptoms. There's a whole list of them here you can take a look at. So Josh, what would it have been that made you think that would have made the doctors think Cushing's, but made you think Klinefelter?
Well, I like to call it my built-in pillow. I'm one of those people that I can fall asleep anywhere. Just tilt my head back and it stays. I didn't roll to the sides or anything. I've got the buffalo hump. I've got two great big fat pockets. on either side of my skull. So
Mm.
it just all locks in real nice and neat and turns into a pillow.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take a look at what Klinefelter is. It's a genetic condition that results when a boy is born with an extra copy of the X chromosome. So for those of you who don't know chromosomes, women have two X chromosomes, men have one X, one Y. I can do it with my hands. Anyway, have one X, one Y. So if you have an extra X, that messes around with things.
Oh, let me tell you.
Okay.
You know
So,
hormonal swings that women get?
mm-hmm,
Yeah. Take an angry bull type male and
mm-hmm,
throw in the hormonal swings. That gives
mm-hmm.
a beautiful pizzazz of Joshua's life.
Okay. So, which of these symptoms did you have as a young man or a boy, even growing up? Testicular growth resulting in smaller than normal testicles, lower
Yeah.
production of testosterone, reduced muscle mass, reduced body and facial hair, enlarged breast tissue. You've already said you had that. And yeah, the effects and symptoms they're not the same for everyone. So what would you have seen?
As um as I was like starting to hit puberty and
Mm-hmm,
facial hair grow,
mm-hmm.
I didn't really have. I had a mustache when I was 16, but I didn't have like beard until I was like 20.
Okay.
Um, and even now, my wife will attest to this. My beard is like a patchwork quilt. You get a patch here, a patch there. I've got a
Yep.
great hole under my chin that has no hair whatsoever. Don't know why. I think it's
Bald arch.
split across the pavement, but um, the the lower production of testosterone. I mean, you hear my voice. It sounds kind of deep, kind of not like a normal male's voice would sound.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
it didn't really hit me until the hormonal swings were really hitting
Mm,
back. And we tested it at the first time I got tested. I was like close to normal range, not that far off.
mm-hmm,
Time I was tested, I was like one or two, and you're supposed
mm-hmm,
to like way higher than that.
mm.
Um, oh,
For instance, a normal male is supposed to have, and I may be wrong on this, anywhere from about 250 to 300 range when it comes to testosterone. When Josh was first tested, it's about a 10 or a 20, if we want to know the degree. When he was tested in Florida, those us women have our testing. Men's don't like the prostate testing. And the doctor did a prostate exam and he goes, your prostate is very small for a man your height and you're tall. And that was kind of the first something's not quite right kind of thing. Um,
Hmm.
and then they started testing him for his testosterone levels. The
Okay.
reason why Cushing's came into play was when you look at Josh, even from the picture there, and he didn't want to be on camera, you can see it's the way he's built. They wanted him to be a football player, very, very, big within the trunk area and the stomach, and then these little tiny legs. So the way he is built is very similar to a Cushing's patient. And the doctor said, I
So
guarantee you have Cushing's. And it was not
yeah.
anywhere near that.
So these are the signs and symptoms for Klinefelter that your mom did not see. Is that correct?
correct.
Okay. So you did not have weak muscles. There was no slow motor development. You sat up and walked at about the same kind of age as everybody else. You spoke fine. Um, Problems at birth, such as testicles that haven't descended, that can happen for so many different reasons. That
She
wouldn't
did say he
necessarily be
was
somebody's full.
she did say he was quiet. And until he got married to me, he became
They
unquiet. But
yeah, I was so quiet. They had to have my ears checked
yeah.
when I was very young baby because they thought I was deaf because I was so quiet.
Oh,
First,
okay.
I was so quiet because I could walk up on them and they wouldn't know.
Yep.
You have the kids that are bang bang bang, noisy noisy noisy.
That wasn't you.
At what's going on? No,
Yeah.
me. I was quiet all the time. And if I'm banging and carrying on, they came looking for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like the complete opposite of air quotes here normal kids. Um, as a young child in my early life, uh, oatmeal cans. Don't know why it was my favorite toy. Um, it was also my stool. I was a small child
Hmm.
when I was very young. I mean, my mom was a size 0
Oh,
before
wow.
pregnant with me. That tells you how much of a small person she was.
For sure. You came by it naturally, then being very slight. Nobody would have thought twice.
It, nobody thought anything was wrong with me.
For sure.
I mean, my entire life I was thought to be normal. I mean, I couldn't quite grasp the concept of soccer and basketball.
Yeah,
Every
not everybody does.
ball got passed to me. I couldn't understand it. But my
Mm.
wanted me to be a defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
But my stepdad, well, that's another story. I'm not getting into that story.
That's a story for another day.
That is a long
Yes, it
story
is.
for another day.
And I think that Josh most likely had, and that's why I'm kind of here, so I make sure that I know how to redirect him. He for sure has ADHD, and most likely now having a daughter with autism sees autistic signs within him. I do. So those were two things that were also not diagnosed with him as growing up, which would have made a huge difference in his educational level. He is
Mm-hmm.
extremely smart. Um, so smart that they wanted him, if he could have gone into the Navy, to be a nuclear engineer on a nuclear sub. He is tremendously intelligent.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah,
and he
I
was
mean,
not,
I don't want my kids to glow in the dark. Sorry.
but
Yeah,
with his type of learning that he could have done, they just thought he didn't want to learn and all this kind of stuff. But no, it was just he needed a different way to learn how to do it. But he
that's right.
extremely intelligent man.
Yeah. So
When I
Josh, tell the people what you were telling me about your job that you retired from.
um the only thing I've really ever been good at is taking stuff apart and putting it back together, or just putting stuff to. And well, there's also the driving, but that's another situation. Um, I used to be. I went to school to become an auto mechanic. I've been working on cars since I was like 9 years old. So the obvious thing, do what you love, right? Go do what you love and make money doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Worst advice you can ever give somebody: Don't do what you
Ooh.
love for money. Do what you love
Mm.
for yourself.
Yep.
I was. I'm the kind of person that I grew up doing cars, and I can see the problem before most computers can diagnose the problem. I got fired from a job because I wouldn't tell people they needed XYZ. The manager I had wanted me to tell them lies and tell them that they needed stuff, and I was the honest guy and got fired for it.
Good man.
But what it is when I see a car and I hear it ticking, I don't go, "Oh, you need to hook that up to a computer." Why? I can probably tell you where the ticking's coming from. First of all,
Hmm.
are you using 87 octane cheap gas? Oh,
Hmm.
that's probably your ticking. It's garbage gas going into a good engine. Um, if it's not bad gas, it could be a lifter or something's going on outside. It got my attention. Sorry.
It's okay.
A lifter, or it could be a push rod, but for some reason, from an early age, I was able to take the engine apart in my head and see it in an exploded view. Each piece as it's moving up and down and left and right and doing all its stuff it needs to do, the fuel coming in, combusting, going out. I could see every bit of it as the car sitting there running in front of me.
Hmm.
It sounds like you have a bad lifter. And they're like, no, that can't be the problem. That's not the problem. It can't be. They take the engine apart. It was a bad lifter.
Yeah. Wow. That is a skill. That's a gift. That's not a skill. That is something that you either have or you don't. But whether or not you work on it and you hone it and all of that, that's the skill. And I completely understand the do what you love, don't do it for money, because then you're not doing it because you love it anymore. You're doing it for the money. Like I've had careers, I'm so fortunate doing hair and teaching and all of these things. I haven't had to worry about the money. Like making money is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, making money is wonderful. But that wasn't the reason I had to do those jobs. And so I continued to be able to love them.
No, I totally agree. But when you do it for the money, you're not doing it to hone your skill anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you get stuck in the middle of the rat race and oh, I need my car yesterday, and oh, all
Yeah.
we have for you to do is tires or
Yeah.
oil changes, and they don't want to bring you into being a mechanic because they already have a mechanic.
Right.
I'm sorry, an ASE certified technician.
Okay.
There was we both worked at a dealership. Now there was no openings in the auto part or the mechanic area, but there was in the parts department. And after he lost that job from the guy who said, "Yeah, I want you to tell me, they need all this stuff when they don't," there was a guy that also had another car, and he would come and he saw Josh and he goes, "Josh," and they knew each other because he said every time he brought his car to that place, he'd have Josh look at it because he said I knew he'd tell me exactly what I need and he'd be honest. And he said, "If you are you working back here?" He was really excited. He goes, "No, I'm working in the parts department at the next dealership over." And he said, "Oh, dang on it, because if you were back there," he said, "you'd be the only one working on my car because I know you tell me
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I need and not lie to me." And that in
Mm-hmm.
itself and that character goes a long way.
Oh, yeah.
And I was
That's
sitting there going,
reputation.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
The craziest thing about the whole situation, the manager I had that fired me got hired on to where we were working at, where we were both working at.
Mm-hmm.
And within what, a month, he got fired.
Within about 3 months, I said, "You've just hired a snake." And they said, "Oh,
Yeah.
no." I said, "No, you've hired a snake. Just watch it." And sure enough.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get back to Klinefelter syndrome. Let's talk about, oh, we've already done that one. Let's do this one. So as a teenager, you kind of diagnosed yourself, you said. So these symptoms, were they essentially what you saw in yourself? Taller than average stature, longer legs, shorter torso, broader hips compared with other boys, absent, delayed, or incomplete puberty. After puberty, less muscle and less facial hair and body hair compared with other teens. Small, firm testicles, small penis, enlarged breast tissue or gynecomastia, weak bones, low energy levels, a tendency to be shy and sensitive, difficulty expressing thoughts and feelings or socializing, and problems with reading, writing, spelling, or math. How much of that did you see in yourself?
Okay, let me start at the top of the list. I was one of the taller kids in my classes.
Mm-hmm.
I was the tallest kid in the entire school until about 5th grade.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, I went to a school with a bunch of short people.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to high school, I was one of 4 tall people in the entire school,
Wow.
and that was 6 foot and above. There was 6'2", which was me. There
Mm-hmm.
was 6, I think it was 6'4". There was another guy that was 6'6", and I think there was a girl that was like 6'3".
Oh, wow.
We were a small crowd in our giant school when you can sit there and peer over everybody's head and see the next tall person coming at you.
Yep.
I have what you call, well, I have a sinker for a body, but a sinker, not a stinker, a sinker. I have a sinker for a body, but if you look at my body, it looks like a swimmer's body. Um, well, the amount of hair that's there, it looks like a swimmer's body. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they have no hair, or a bodybuilder could be, even because they want to show off their muscles and not the hair. But
Mm-hmm.
I am neither of those. I
Mm-hmm.
look more like a boulder on the side of the road than
Mm.
um. I have a very small amount of muscle mass. Um, like I said before, facial hair was patchwork quilt. Body hair, same problem. And the funny
Mm-hmm.
thing is, my biological father is a hairy man, and everybody in my family has more body hair than I do.
Mm.
Um, yes, I have that small part, but yeah, I have that small part there. I do have the gynecomastia. Weak bones. Surprisingly, yes, I do have those, even though I am well. Some of my bones are weak, some of them are not. Like my structural bones, they're not that weak, but like my toes and fingers are. I break my toes quite often.
Really? Okay. Yeah, you stub your toe, it's broken, kind of thing.
Either that, or I kick something and not realize it, or
Yeah.
um,
It's got to be hard to
ran
walk on.
by a car. Just weird things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
um, let's see here. Low energy levels. Let's put it this way. My phone has a higher energy level than I do.
I like it. I like it. Yes.
Yes, I have a tendency to be shy and sensitive. I can be
Mm-hmm.
the wallflower that blends into the back of the room and nobody sees me,
Mm-hmm.
or I can be the person that's going to talk your ear off. And no, I can't control it either way. It just goes.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, going by the way I started off this, I do have a difficulty expressing thoughts, feelings, and or yes, definitely socializing. When I'm in a new situation like right now,
Right.
surprisingly I'm talking, but I have my beautiful wife there to egg me on and get me talking, so I'm talking.
And you have a group here who really wants to hear what you have to say. And so that helps a lot. A lot.
And just the tendency to be shy and sensitive and the difficulty expressing thoughts, feeling, and socializing is also an autistic trait.
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting is some of this just kind of molds into one, they kind of mold into something else. And that's also, you know, dealing and raising a child with autism. That's also an autistic
Mm-hmm.
trait.
Mm-hmm. How about your reading, writing, spelling, math, all of that? How about your school subjects?
Surprisingly, I'm really good at the math.
Mm-hmm.
Spelling, that's what autocorrect is there for.
Yes. Yep.
What are you doing, stupid computer? Um, Problems with reading. Yes, I have a problem with reading. I sometimes read the same line 5 times over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not realize I've reread it 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Writing. I was always taught to have good penmanship, you have to write in cursive, and it has to be neat and nice. Well, my cursive is so bad that I make a doctor squint. Uh, I can actually read a doctor's signature better than I can read my. So I
Yep.
took the way of printing everything because if I don't print, you ain't reading it.
Yep.
And people are like, "Oh,
Yep.
you're being lazy. Write it in cursive." You know how hard it is for me to sit down and focus to write something in cursive, like my
Mm-hmm.
signature, so you read it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even
Yep.
forge my own signature. Every time I sign my name, it's different every time.
Yep. Kids these days have not been taught cursive. So you would be right there with high school kids these days.
What are you
Both of
talking?
my daughters
Know how
are
to?
in their 20s, and they cursive is just not something that they ever had to learn.
Our daughter knows cursive, thankfully,
Mm-hmm.
but she's like me. She's got to sit down and really focus the cursive.
Mm-hmm.
But some things just aren't cursivable. I,
Okay.
I know it's not a real word, but to me it is a real word. And the
It
reason
works.
a real word for me is because you want me to write in cursive? Do you want to read it? Yes? Okay, well, it's going to take me an hour and a half to sign my name. You don't
Yeah.
want to read it? Okay, I'll have it done in 5 minutes, but you ain't going to get a word out of it.
Yeah. Now I'm curious about this. Completely nothing to do with Klinefelters. It has everything to do with cursive. When you are reading or writing in cursive, is it difficult for you to decode what each letter would be? Is that the problem? Like the fact that they have to run together?
No,
Okay.
because I was trying to get into the military.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to sign your life away,
Mm-hmm.
to 4 collections of encyclopedias to sign,
Mm-hmm.
it goes from being nice and neat to absolutely in, illegible within
Mm-hmm.
minutes of signing. Even
Yep.
your initials get you can't read them at all.
Yep.
So with what's going on now is I go to do cursive. I can join the letters together, but I just want to get it done
Mm.
because I don't like taking the time to get all fancy.
Yeah.
Well, also what's happening, realize now, as he is now going into adulthood, he is, and it's hard. I know it's hard for him to be
I'm only a
in
teenager.
his,
Shh,
in
she's a
his
cradle
40s with
robber.
a
Leave her alone.
I am older than he is, by like 2 years. But um, he does walk with a walker, so he is walking with the assistance of a walker. And he's having arthritic issues that he normally would not have, because as he was growing, the testosterone that should have been in his body appropriately was not. All his balances, all his hormones were out of whack. So, you know, for him, writing, even if he could do it, well, would be difficult. I have a problem dealing with fibromyalgia. Writing, I can do it, but after just a little bit, my hands hurt, even though I can crochet for hours. So he's dealing with arthritic issues that are, something that he shouldn't be dealing with at his age, but he is dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yep. For those of you who have seen Gwen early on in our channel, she had uh, arthritis from the time she was a child. So that's something that is rare, not unheard of, but certainly rare. And I'm going to show this last slide. So in men, signs and symptoms may include low sperm count or no sperm, small testicles and penis, low sex drive, taller than average height, weak bones, decreased facial and body hair, less muscular compared to other men, enlarged breast tissue, and increased belly fat. So that's very similar to what we saw for the teenagers and boys. So it just simply becomes more obvious. Is that kind of how you would put it?
Yeah, as you start getting older, it tends to become more obvious that things are missing in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like my energy level is, well, I mean, a a battery operated toy has a longer energy span than I do right now.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I get maybe a half an hour into walking with the walker, and I don't want to go anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I have to use ramps all the time now. I can't use the steps anymore, and I would rather take the steps than take a ramp.
Mm-hmm.
It's quicker.
Yeah.
The ramp takes you too long.
Yeah.
But I got to do what I got to do, you know? I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't want to be a hindrance for everything else that I want to do in the time I have remaining here on this earth. But
Mm-hmm.
um, it, it's like 1 minute, all you want to do is party all day, and then 5 minutes later, you don't want to leave your chair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
Crystal
Crystal,
has a
that's
good question. Yes. Can hormone replacement therapy help with some of these symptoms, or is it too late maybe by now?
Well,
Um,
he's.
I
Go
I
ahead.
do testosterone. Um, Unlike most men in this world, God didn't grant me a rear end. So
Mm-hmm.
stabbing me with a needle hurts.
Nightmares.
Yes, stabbing me with a needle has to go
To do it.
deep into the tissue, which is aggravating to some people.
That long.
Um,
Horrible.
especially if
Man.
it has to do it to me. Um, I do the rub on now, and
Mm.
the gel is made with ethyl alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
My body doesn't like ethyl alcohol.
Does it sting, or does it like peel
It
skin off?
it burns my nose.
Yep.
Um, it's a lot stronger than regular alcohol, and
Mm.
I understand why they stopped using isopropyl alcohol because
Mm-hmm.
you want to drink it no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Why you would want to drink testosterone, but okay, whatever, you do you, boo.
Exactly.
But they should be able to say, hey, you have an aversion to ethyl alcohol. Here, use this one instead. This one's got regular alcohol in it. It shouldn't bother you. And I'd be happy to take it. But no, it's all the same thing now. Everybody gets.
Mm-hmm.
So there's supposed to be a pill, from what I understand. The pill doesn't work very well.
Mm.
Um, there's granules that you can have implanted into your body that
Oh.
your body slowly absorbs. I don't know about you all, but I don't like being cut on. I don't even like to
Yeah,
go.
no.
So why would you think I want somebody to cut me open, stick something in my body, and then close me back up?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Um, there's people that I've read. There's people that get really strong. I don't even know what it. You can do the hormone replacement and it works, but until you get on the right dosage,
Mm-hmm.
you're still just sitting there swimming out in the middle of the ocean.
Yep. Yep. That's right.
And everybody out there, different people have different strengths to take.
Mm-hmm. Something that
Your daughter's here, honey.
Howdy.
Hi, Christina. Um, something that a lot of men. Oh, let me ask this as a question. Let me just. Have you felt inadequate as a man, or are you a confident enough man to be able to understand that genetic or genital worth is not the same as your worth as a man? Did
Um,
that make sense?
Back when I was starting to notice issues with how to explain this, um, the going strength.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I was starting to notice that was I'm trying to say this without freaking my daughter out here.
Chrissy, go away for a minute. Or do we need to put
Just
the
mute
trigger
it for a
warning up
second.
again?
I'll put my thumbs up when you can turn up the volume again. Just mute it for a second.
The
That certain area.
Yeah.
when I was 20 something, I could go for hours. When I was 40, or when I was 30 something, I was lucky to make it for a few minutes.
Okay, so your stamina, your sexual stamina has reduced a lot. Is that what I'm understanding? Mary's nodding yes.
I want to, but my body doesn't give me the ability to anymore.
Yep. No, I totally understand that. Yep. Yeah. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak, kind of thing.
Oh no.
And
it's much worse. I can look at something. I can be watching a movie on TV. And in my 20s, I'd be aroused by it. By now, I'm not. Oh, another naked body. My wife walks in and she says, "Josh, what are you watching?" Oh, I didn't even realize that was there. I'm sorry. It's just not it's not anything.
It's just not even a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shows today, there's all that stuff going on.
So much.
He likes those NCI shows and those,
those are
all
great.
that kind of stuff. And it's kind of
yeah.
And,
I used to love watching NYPD Blue.
Yep.
Law and Order. I used to be real big on NBC, and then I went to ABC because they had all the good shows, and then I've been stuck with CBS ever since because NBC doesn't have that many shows anymore. ABC has a lot of game shows on, and CBS is trying to keep up with the game shows and all that other junk. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And
So,
Brazy Girl, was a Brazy Girl who asked about the medication and just coming from a standpoint of, myself, having to inject. I mean, the needle was not small. It has to go into muscle. And it was horrible. And so the only other thing that to do was to be able to do the cream or the stuff he's doing now. We can tell within a few days. Have you had your testosterone? No, I missed a day or two. We can tell because his mood swings will swing somewhat of a degree of a person who has PMS. He used to get, Christina, here you go. He used to get and could get very angry very quickly and irritable very quickly, which is also another sign of autism. But that's because the hormones were so imbalanced. And a lot of the doctors here don't know how to deal with it. They're like, oh,
right.
What is this thing we call? How are we supposed to help an adult with this? And the only other place is to go to a children's hospital. But whether the insurance at this point will cover, cover an adult with Klinefelters, or are they only going to see a child? Because all of the doctors have no idea how to deal with an adult person. A lot of what he is stuck with now is lack of care and lack of diagnosis way early on. So a lot of the stuff that he's going to go through in his life ahead is stuff that he's just going to have to live with. But let me just stress, 60% of all Klinefelter's patients or do not make it to full term. The fact that he's even here at 60% and the other 40% make it is amazing. You know, his mother was young. His mother chose life. We can all have our own opinion on that. Chose life and did not get prenatal care. That's why I said, when you listen to his story, which I've really encouraged him to do it in parts with Kim, and even do it on our channel, is that you can see the hands of God literally over him throughout his life. And while Christina is here, it is one of the reasons when you hear this now, you'll understand why the adoption of Christina was so important. When we got tested, when this first started coming on, when we were at the doctor's down in Florida, and I said, what would be the chances of us having children? Because he wanted to have a child of his own. And the doctor said to me, well, before we start the testosterone, he needs to get tested to see if he has any little guys. And the doctor said, we can test, but if I have anything to say about it, he probably doesn't have any to start with. So that is why having Christina and being able to be in a position of being able to adopt her was so precious. And that face, when he saw her, he did not see the dress prior to her seeing it. He didn't see the dress. He didn't see anything. He saw her once she was fully in her dress and everything. And that was a face of, it wasn't a stepdad. That was a dad.
That's a dad.
You know,
and
I
that's
love
where
the way it's like right over his heart.
Just on a broken foot.
That's on a broken foot. Ouch.
He broke his toe 3 weeks before the wedding.
Oops.
It wasn't a little break. It was, if I remember the picture of the X-ray of my foot correctly, it was the section between the tip of my toe and the top of my, where the foot, that section of bone right there where they meet, that bone pretty much shattered. One good solid piece of it, but there's like 4 or 5 chips on the other side of it. What I did, couldn't tell you, but it healed back up somewhat. So
awesome.
I'm not done on it.
Sorry, Christina, we do not have the picture where you're holding both of your faces.
I'm working on it.
Oh, you're working on it? Okay.
I know exactly what picture she's talking about.
Now, this is not a man who is not a man. This is not a man who is less than. This is not a man who is deficient. He is not anything other than a man, a father, a loving husband. The measure of a man is in his character. It's in his heart. And Josh, from what I can see, you have the heart of an elephant. Just huge, huge heart.
Try to be anyways.
Well, it seems to be working. It really does. The way your wife and your daughter speak of you are high, high praise. So those of us in the chat, I would like you to just give a couple of words of what you think makes a man a man. Now, it may seem weird to have to do that, but it's just something I think I want to see as affirmation of character. At least for me, I'm hoping it'll be more character is worth more than a physical something. Because anybody in a wheelchair, anybody with amputations, anybody with Klinefelters, with Cushing's, with all sorts of different disabilities isn't the right word, but different things happening to them, different life circumstances. Things are going to be different. So what makes a man a man? Oh my goodness, Christina, you drew a bit of blood because he was holding his arm so tightly. You were holding his arm so. Ouch.
Yeah, she peeled the skin off my arm.
Eee.
But it's okay. It's already healed.
Good. Having a big heart makes a man a real man. I agree, Alfonso. That's exactly right.
And you know, the Klinefelters is just a. I think I was diagnosed Klinefelters last year.
Oh,
And
so
you
this
have
is
to do a
new.
swab test. You have to do a swab test in the mouth.
I wasn't
Yeah, it would have to be a DNA thing.
genetics.
Yeah.
So this was found out recent. This wasn't. I found out as a. They normally find out around like not quite teenager yet. Is usually
Mm-hmm.
kids are found out to be Klinefelters, or
Mm-hmm.
now they can test in the womb and find out if they're Klinefelters.
Absolutely.
But I didn't get diagnosed until I was 45, 46.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
what I know now of Klinefelters is nothing.
Yeah.
On God's truth, it's absolutely nothing.
Hmm.
Because now I have to go through 8,000 other battery of tests to find out if there's. I know there's somebody out there that can pronounce it better than I can. It's called Sjogrensen's disease or Sjogren's.
Okay.
It's when your mouth and your eyes and everything dry up real easily.
Oh, okay.
Um, there's a rare form of lupus I could have because of the Klinefelters. There's all these other tests I now have to go through,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't find doctors that'll do them because I'm 47 years old. Just live your life. It's like the
Yeah.
I'm getting. I went for
Yeah.
a rheumatoid arthritis test, and they said, "Oh, you don't have it." They looked at me like 5 minutes and said, "Oh, you don't have it, but you do have arthritis." Don't get me wrong. Yeah, let me tell you about that whole concept of arthritis. It sucks,
Mm-hmm.
especially at 47.
Mm-hmm.
But if you learned what my childhood was,
Mm-hmm.
you would be shocked that I am the way I am. Um, the pastor that married Mary and I, um, he said that the fingerprints, God's fingerprints are all over you.
Mm-hmm.
There is a reason why you are in this world.
That's right. I
Um,
fully agree.
and that wasn't even what I've dug out in the last couple of years of what happened in my childhood. That was just like the bullet points. Oh, this happened to me. This happened to me. I shouldn't be here because this happened to me. He
Mm-hmm.
he was just hearing the. Well, here, when I was a baby, I had pneumonia. So we already know my mom didn't have prenatal care.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was a baby, I had pneumonia. When I was like 2 or 3. My uncle used to do this thing where he'd throw me up over his. Uh, he would throw me up in the air and catch me by my ankles,
Oh, I bet your mom loved that one.
and then he would let go of my ankles and reach down and grab my hands and pull me back up. I used to love it. I absolutely
Yeah.
did that to me. Well, he got time, and he swore it would never happen ever again.
Hmm. Well, Josh, we are going to have you on in October. And we are going to be talking about, I seem to recall we are having you on October 1st.
News to me.
We're having somebody else on October 1st. Indigo Twin is on October 1st.
And what Christina said is very true. From day one, from the day we got married, he treated Christina as his own. There was no step involved. He loved and cared for her just as, and not only is he, just an amazing dad and husband, he also very lovingly is a son-in-law. He loves and cares for my mom who lives with us. And he said, she's living with us. We're taking care of her. And while my dad was dealing with dementia, he was there to help take care of his father-in-law. And if you when you listen to a story, the one thing he'll say is, your dad was my dad. And we've said that if it wasn't for him, the caring of my dad would have not been the way it was. And he loved my dad. And so he's a son-in-law, he's an uncle, he's a father-in-law. And yeah.
So basically everything that makes a man is who you are, Josh. And because Mary, as my friend, has a piece of my heart, I thank you so much for loving and caring for her so much. Because Christina is a part of who Mary is. She's a part of this family here on My Other's Keeper. We keep her as well. And you have kept them so beautifully. And God has blessed them by having you in their lives. So I want to thank you so much for coming today, Josh. The strength and courage that it took for you to speak. Like you said at the beginning, you were a little bit tentative, but once things got going, God really blessed you. So I'm going to say good night for now. On Tuesday, we have Indigo Twin, and she's going to be talking. Sorry, my bad. They are going to be talking about what they get out of therapy. I am really bad with pronouns. Anyway, they're going to be talking about what they get out of therapy. So, Josh, I'm assuming that you did not get all of this character of strength of character and such on your own. I'm assuming you had some help with that. So perhaps write down a little bit about what gave you strength, and come back on Tuesday and be in the chat and let us know what therapy has done for you. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Mary. Thank you for introducing me to your amazing husband.
And it's Christina's birthday month this month.
Yay.
Yes.
All right. Have a great evening, everyone, and I will see you again on
Thank you for everybody that came and supported Josh. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Bye-bye.